Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this ideal customer avatar blueprint, we're going to be going through not only the 7 essential questions for crafting your ideal customer avatar profile, but we're also going to be going through practical data-driven ways to answer these questions. So chances are you've seen a blog post or a video in the past that just goes through a bunch of questions that you're magically supposed to know the answers to. And whether you've been running advertising for a while or you're just getting started with your business, chances are you're watching this video because you're not quite sure who your ideal customer is. So not only are we going to go through these 7 essential questions, we're also going to go through some data-driven ways on how to actually answer those questions. So we're not just taking shots in the dark. Make sure you check out the timestamp table of contents in the description, along with some other helpful videos to take this customer avatar, build your funnel, and build your advertising campaigns. And now we'll kick things off with these 7 questions. Who are they? Where do they live? What do they do for fun? Basic demographics. What related content do they already consume? What results are they after? And then finally, number 7, what solutions, products or services are they already using? And these 7 questions are all you need to get started with crafting your ideal customer profile or your ideal avatar. There are a lot of other pieces of information we could gather, right? There are a lot of other things we could do, but at the end of the day, when we're just starting out, we're just putting together this kind of puzzle of who the heck is gonna buy our products and services. 7 questions is all we need. Any additional research, any additional data is just gonna distract from us really zeroing in on how we can connect with that customer, and that's gonna be really important when we get to questions number 6 and 7. But for now, we're gonna start with the first 4 questions. And believe it or not, Google and Facebook have the answers for you. So there are 2 different ways that we can do this. Well, actually, technically there's 3. The third way is you just make something up, right? You just answer the questions what you think they are, and then you move on to the next step, which is probably what you've seen in the past, which is what I don't want you to do. Instead, we're gonna go to Google and Facebook to get our data. So if you have Google Analytics installed on your website, you're gonna wanna go the Google Analytics route. If you don't have Google Analytics installed on your website, or it wasn't installed properly, then we're gonna go through the Facebook Audience Insights route. Both of these are going to be helpful. If you have both, great. If you only have one or the other, it's going to be much better than you just writing down a bunch of random things that you think the answers to the questions are. So let's go ahead and go through the Google Analytics method first, and then we'll go through the Facebook Audience Insights first. And again, this is for the first 4 questions. So what you're going to want to do is go into your Analytics account and then click on Audience. And under Audience, you're going to have a bunch of options on your left-hand side panel. We're going to want to look at is we're going to look at interests, we're going to look at demographics, and then we're going to look at geo. So under demographics, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the age and gender of your current website visitors, right? This is the best place to figure out who is actually interested in you, your content, and your products, right? So now we're not just picking things out of thin air, we're actually looking at our website data and saying, these are the people that come to our website. If you want that to change, then of course you can tweak your content in the future using the Facebook method we're about to go over. Next, you're gonna wanna go down to geo and locations, and that's gonna tell you where people are coming from, where are they physically located in the world. Now that we know kind of who they are, their age, their gender, the demographics, and their location, we can go over to interests and click on overview, and you're gonna look at the affinity audiences. And these affinity audiences are groups of people Google has identified with all of their data. They've crunched the numbers and they say that these are major topics that your website visitors are interested in. And this really gives you a clear picture of the first 4 questions, and you want to ignore in-market audiences for now. Just look at affinity, and these affinity tell you what your website visitors are actually interested in. It's crazy, it's super cool. Now, if you don't have Google Analytics installed on your website, or you went to that section of Google Analytics and you saw that message to enable demographics, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait a few months to get this sweet data, but don't worry, because we can go over to Facebook and get a similar picture of who our target customers might be. So in Facebook, you're gonna go ahead and need to set up a ads account. You can set one up for free. And once you're in your ads manager, you're gonna click on your settings and you'll go to Audience Insights under Plan. And here, all you have to do is type in a major influencer or major competitor, someone who's closest to the influencer you want to be or closest company to who you are in that little interest box. And then Facebook is going to give you all of the demographic information for that influencer or for that company's page. page. Now, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be exact, but it's better than us just pulling things out of thin air. So go ahead and use that data to answer your first 4 questions. Now, step number 3 in our process is actually going to be answering question number 5. So we've got the first 4 out of the way, and number 5 is what content are they consuming? And this is going to be very important in terms of crafting either your content marketing plan when you're doing keyword research, you're doing topic research, or you're trying to figure out what kind of creative to use for your ads. This is going to be very, very helpful, especially when we get into number 6. These all start to build on each other here, and you're going to see messaging and targeting in a little bit, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So here what you want to do is there's 2 sources you can go to figure out what content your ideal customer is already consuming: YouTube and back to Facebook. So first off with YouTube, before we go back to Facebook Audience Insights, is just go to the YouTube search box and start typing in how to blank. So whatever search your ideal customer would be looking for, whatever questions they have, whatever issues or problems they're trying to solve, just do a couple of searches and find YouTube channels that are servicing content to your ideal customer. And what you want to do is just go ahead and make sure that the channel generally is talking to the same people, and then go ahead and look at the related channels. This is the way that you're going to quickly be able to dive down the YouTube rabbit hole and find a bunch of channels that you've never heard of that serve your ideal customer, your ideal prospect. Even if you're not going to be doing anything on YouTube, it's great to have this library because YouTube is the 2nd largest search engine. So when your ideal customers are trying to figure something out related to your industry or niche, chances are they're either going to Google or they're going to YouTube. So having a list of the channels they're most likely engaged with is going to be very helpful in figuring out how to better relate to your ideal customer in the future. Now, the second place we can go is back over to Facebook, go back into the Audience Insights tool, and again, what we're going to want to do is we're going to, in that interest box, type in a couple of influencers that we know in the niche or industry, or a couple of big companies that we know in the niche or industry. This time, instead of looking at the demographics, we're actually going to go over to page likes, and we're going to look at the categories, and we're going to look at the pages, and you're going to want to make a nice laundry list of all of the pages that come up that your ideal customer or prospect might be following, engaging with, or is at least posting content that your ideal prospect might be following or engaging with. So this is definitely a part of the process where you're gonna have to roll up your sleeves, and if it takes you a few hours, that means you're doing it right. This is not something that should be done in 15 minutes. Now, that does it for number 3. Number 4, we're actually gonna start to try and tackle question number 6. And I say try because question number 6 is what you're gonna be testing for as long as you're driving traffic. And this is something that trips a lot of people up. So in the beginning, we talked about how we didn't want to pull answers out of thin air. This is the only question where you're going to have to really make an educated guess. Question number 7, once you've gone through your swipe file, which we'll get to in a little bit here, can kind of help you with question number 6. But the reason this one is first is we want to think about what are the results that your ideal customer is looking for. And an easy way to figure this out is what results or benefit does your product or service provide? So this is someone's coming to your channel, they're coming to your website, they're coming to your Facebook page, they're reading your sales messages, they're opening your emails because they want something. So what do they want? What is the result that they want? And then actually part 2 to this question is what is the perceived roadblock to achieving that result? And the reason we do part 1 and 2 is because typically in most, especially with services-based businesses or information products, the result or want, and if you're doing e-commerce, it's pretty clear, that part can be pretty clear or pretty obvious. For example, if we were making an information product around how to be successful on YouTube, well, typically it would be grow your channel, make money, quit your day job, some crazy big result like that. But that's not enough for our marketing messages. We want to take it a step further and really get inside our ideal customer's head by asking part 2 of number 6, and that is what is their perceived roadblock? You see, with our YouTube example, with being successful, growing a channel, making money, quitting your 9-to-5, the ideal person for that, they could think that they're not getting enough views. They could think they don't have enough subs. They could think that they need to rank better. They could think that their video quality needs to be improved. And all of those things would contribute to the end result of having a bigger channel and making more money. However, when you're able to take it a step further and identify the specific roadblocks that your ideal customer thinks are in the way of that result, because everyone in your niche is talking about the results. The results aren't secret. What are a secret is what your ideal customer or prospect isn't sharing, that their internal psyche is saying, you can't do this because of XYZ. And so those XYZ things are really what we want to focus on once we figured out what the big results are. And this is where your messaging is going to come in, because when you're running advertising, or even if you're doing just content marketing, organic content, you're constantly testing your targeting and you're testing your messaging. So numbers 1 through 5 were all about the targeting, figuring out how are we going to go find these people? Where are these people hanging out? And now with 6 and 7, we're saying, okay, what message is going to connect to our ideal customer prospect? We know where they are. So how do we draw them away from whatever they're doing now to whatever we have? And so that's what question number 6 is really, really about. Definitely take some time. And this is something that you're always going to be testing as you go through building your sales funnels and growing your business. Now, finally, question number 7, home stretch here. That is, what product or service are they already using? What product or service are they going to or looking at to solve their problem or to get the big result or get through those roadblocks that we just identified in number 6? Now, it doesn't matter if you're a product, a service, brick and mortar, e-commerce, you want to do services and products on your list, because in your customer's mind, they care about getting the result they want. They don't really care if it's a product that's going to get them to where they want to go or a service that's going to get them to where they want to go. So sometimes this is something we see a lot of with clients, where if they're services based in a business, they only look at services, or if they're products, they only look at products, where that puts you into a silo, and there might be some information over here or a solution over here that you really should be paying attention to, even though you don't see it as a direct competitor. Your ideal customer may see them as two viable options. They might not care that one's a service and one's a product. And so this is where you're going to want at least 5 to 6 different influencers or companies, products or services that you're aware of that your ideal customer might be currently going after. And this is going to help you in the future when you're building your swipe file and you're testing your messaging. You can actually go through the marketing messages of those other companies, of those other influencers, and see if they're speaking to any of the roadblocks you came up with in step number 6. While it doesn't necessarily help you validate number 6, it does tell you if you're on the right track or not. So thank you so much for watching. If you're still watching, you made it this far, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Comment below if you have any questions on crafting your ideal customer avatar. This is something that is going to take a lifetime to perfect, right? This is only laying the foundation. We're just looking at the basics, and then we're just gonna test and test and test and test and test. And it's a constant test between your targeting, which was the questions 1 through 5, figuring out, really dialing those in, and then of course testing your messaging, questions 6 and 7. So go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more digital marketing tactics and strategies just like the ones covered in this video. Comment below if you have any questions, and as always, keep building the business you love.